The nurses are tired. The nurses are ready to leave the profession. Hey cousins, welcome to my channel. I am Courtney Noel, and clearly I am Courtney Noel. If you are new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you are oldie but a goldie, hey girl, hey boy, hey, welcome back to my channel. Let's get into it. The girlies and boys are burnt out. I see it, I hear it all over social media. The nurses are tired. The nurses are ready to leave the profession, and it's unfortunate because a lot of blood, sweat, and tears goes into becoming a nurse. So as a seasoned nurse, hello, I wanted to give you all some options just in case if you're looking to change specialties, if you are at your wit's end and don't know what to do with your nursing career, or if you are a newer nurse trying to pursue, or a newer nurse who is getting into the profession. I'm going to give you this. This is probably going to be a two-part series. So this is part one of high-paying non-bedside jobs, okay? Listen, let me say this. A lot of nurses want remote work, but with the current state of things, it has, in my experience, it has become extremely difficult to find. It's not impossible, but the bar has been raised when it comes to finding remote work. So I get it. A lot of people want to work from home. And there's some of you who don't want to work from home. But I want to give you options to leave the bedside. You may still have to show up to a physical place, but at least you can have a break or take a break from actual patient care. So the first one I want to get into is utilization management or case management. So if you're new to this channel, I have a whole playlist about utilization review, utilization management. I will drop that in the description box so you can click the link if you're not familiar. But I like to pride myself on being one of the leading or top nurses who creates content surrounding utilization management and case management. So I would be remiss not to make that my first one I speak on. So what is utilization management? Utilization management is basically a role in nursing where you use your clinical background to help with the processing of the billing in the background. Yeah. So basically how I explain it to people is that when there are nurses, when patients come into the hospital, the patients are assigned levels of care, which could be inpatient or outpatient observation. Those levels of care are signals to insurance companies, Medicare, Medicaid, what level of care or how acute or the level of care needed to take care of that patient. Outpatient observation is the lower level of care, whereas inpatient means that the doctor plans for you to stay in the hospital more than one night or so. Okay, when that is established, well, there are nurses who review these patients' charts from the ED to help the physician determine the appropriate level of care for that patient. And with that, it's very important because that is how the hospitals are reimbursed. And if you're working from the insurance side, that is how much you will be paying the hospitals for the care of your member, for your plan. So this is a role that is away from bedside. So that's utilization management. Case management is basically you help the patient, depending on what setting you're in. You can be an outpatient, you could be inpatient, you could be in rehab. The goal is to safely and accurately transition your patient through levels of care within the hospital or healthcare system. So case management is not clinical care. They don't provide any clinical care, but they do have patient interaction. So typically I looked around, and what the average U.S. average for nurses in utilization management or case management ranges from $66,000 to $107,000. Of course, the lower end is for those places who have a lower cost of living, and also for those nurses who are not experienced. So it is still a good pay, especially once you get some experience. It can be a lucrative position without the stress of having direct patient care. The next specialty I want to talk about is patient logistics or transfer center nurse. I don't hear enough people talking about this because it's like a quiet as kept position. And basically what it is if you work in a healthcare system, most times have you ever been to where there's like a smaller hospital and a bigger hospital, and that patient is transferred from one hospital to another, and as a bedside nurse you think that it's seamless, but it's not. It's a lot of work that goes into it. Authorizations from inpatients, understanding the level of care, understanding the physician's plan of care, understanding where the patient can go and cannot go. Maybe you're doing an international transfer. So there is a lot of logistics that goes into patient logistics and patient transport. And I looked online. I was trying to get a salary base, but they gave me hourly. So these hourlies in the US could be anywhere from $35 to $55 an hour. I'm assuming that is because a lot of the patient logistic nurses are not salaried. They're more so paid hourly. Okay, so the next specialty is something that is, I don't know if it's fairly new, but I think that's interesting, and that is nurse scientist, research nurse, or clinical trials nurse. And these are the nurses who either does the research, the actual research for cutting edge practices and medications and things of the sort. So a lot of nurses who go in this lane are like oncology focused or even cardiac focused. These nurses do the research, they conduct the trials, they follow up with patients, any adverse reactions. These nurses are away from the bedside. They still have patient interaction, but they don't have the day-to-day inpatient care. Correct me if I'm wrong if I have any nurse scientists in watching this video. And from what I see, the US average of this profession is from, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm reading my notes, it's between $70,000 and $130,000, which I'm assuming again is based on where you live and how much experience. I did see with this role, if you're going into something more oncology based, they really like nurses who have an oncology background, oncology certification, those type of things. My next specialty is EICU. So as we move forward, and I believe this is a very important role, though, and I think that a lot of nurses can look into this, especially if you're a nurse who is you work ICU, CCU, and even your step down nurses. This EICU is basically, there are hubs within healthcare systems where maybe they have nursing shortages or whatever the case may be. They have nurses who are video or tele monitoring patients in the ICU. And these positions are kind of coveted, but if you get into it, you still are using your clinical background, but you're not having the physical aspect of actually taking care of a patient. And so the EICU, and I believe healthcare is going to go forward with this, so this may end up being something that med-surg nurses can do, tele-nurses can do, is that they're going to be monitoring a bunch of nurses from a remote location. Because these nurses have shifts, this is more of like the patient logistic nurse, these nurses have shifts. So they're more of the hourly employees, in 37 to 45. I don't believe that. I think it'll be more around the 37 to 55 hourly range. I'm gonna say 37 to 55, depending on where you are, the cost of living, the things of that sort. Okay guys, that wraps up this video. Stay tuned for part 2. Please don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and most of all, I love you, but Jesus, he loves you so much more. God bless you.